I'm going to bring in next from the General Secretary of the Musicians Union, Horace Trubridge. Horace.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to try and fill in the gaps because obviously a lot of what's been said is stuff I would have said myself, and obviously I support what Tom has said in terms of solutions. I think there's no point in entering into a blame game here. We just need to get the two parties around the table again so we can sort this out. So the MU has 32,000 members, but we're also working with the ISM on this issue. That's a first. We're collaborating with the ISM. And Deborah and I are having regular meetings because this is so important to musicians generally. Union's been working on this with this problem for the last 3 or 4 years now. And we started a petition which we even took to the Conservative Party conference and was signed by a lot of Conservative MPs, all about frictionless mobility for musicians in Europe. And we were assured all the way that there wasn't going to be any kind of problem. And I think there's other people on this call right now who got the same message from ministers at the time. There won't be any problem. Well, there is a huge problem, as we know. And I do think, just picking up on what Tracy said, that this is an issue that is perpetuating a problem that we've had in the industry for some time, which is it's only those with the deepest pockets that seem to be able to afford to be musicians these days. You know, those that from an early age can get music lessons on an instrument, for instance, because as Kevin Brennan has famously said, you know, talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. And what we're doing is we're really narrowing the kind of people who will be successful, who can afford to be successful in the music business. And by doing that, we're narrowing the sort of cultural pool of music, and we won't have bands like Happy Mondays or Madness or bands like that emerging out of council estates in the way that we did before, because it's just becoming an industry that you can only access and maintain a career in if you've got money. And the problems that have been explained about how expensive it will be to go and work in Europe just exacerbate that problem. We've seen venues in the UK close over the last 10 or 15 years. There's nowhere near the kind of opportunity for live music that there was 15, 20 years ago in the UK. And so it's been even more important for artists in the UK to be able to travel into Europe easily, cheaply, in order to get gigs and work live. And with COVID, of course, we've seen the decimation of live work. It's really sort of shone a huge spotlight on the fact that earnings from recorded music from streaming simply cannot replace what you earn from live. They can't mean that a musician can sustain a career. That's an issue that I know Julie is concerned with, and we will be tackling later this week, but it's something that has to be addressed. But COVID has really thrown that up, how important live work is. And right now we've got musicians, my members, who are talking to counterparts in EU member states and saying, look, maybe later in the year we could look at some gigs, and they're all worried about it. They're all saying, well, we're not sure if we can look at any gigs because we're not quite sure whether or not we're going to have extra costs in bringing you in. And the musicians themselves are looking at it and saying, well, I'm not even sure whether I can afford to go and work in Europe at all now. I saw a blog by an artist, this multi-synth player. He's a solo artist, and he's actually looked at how much it's going to cost him to go and do one gig in Spain. And apart from the fact he's going to have to travel to the embassy in London to get a visa to go and do that gig in Spain, the total costs are somewhere in the region of £800 just to do one gig. And of course, all the administration, bureaucracy involved in all of that. What hasn't been mentioned so far, and I know this is something that will be dear to Howard's heart, as it is to all musicians, and that is the cross-cultural fertilization that you get with, you know, the ease of European musicians being able to come to the UK, work with UK musicians and vice versa. And it's so important that we get that. And, you know, things like Afrobeats has been successful in the UK because of that free and easy travel of musicians and the sharing of ideas, which enhances our music industry and makes us all enjoy music even more. That's so important. But finally, I want to say, look, we've talked about how difficult it is for a 5-piece band. Imagine how difficult it is for a 70-piece orchestra. and all the problems that they're going to face in terms of visas, work permits, the haulage issue, which I think Jesse mentioned earlier, that we've heard, and I've heard a rumor that sport have been given an exemption on the haulage, on the cabotage provisions. Now, I don't know if that's right. We need to drill down and find out if that is the case, but that's happened very quickly. So where's our exemption? We need that too. Otherwise, the LSO won't be able to go and tour in Europe, and it's gonna be impossible for musicians to have that frictionless mobility. So,
thanks, Horace.
Yeah, I think that will probably do. Thank you.
Yeah, it's again what's coming through with everybody. We could all talk all day about this because it's so obvious there needs to be a solution very quickly.